Assistant Professor of Political Science, Stefan Brooks. You're here for the inaugural episode of Lindsey Wilson Conversations. We're here at Cafe on the Square in downtown Columbia. And the way this works is that we share a beverage here at Cafe on the Square and talk about something that interests you. And that topic today for you is politics. And of course, we're in the middle of a presidential campaign, 2 weeks into the month of September. How do you see the 2008 presidential campaign shaping up?
Well, McCain this week has pulled ahead according to the polls. Now that can change, but evidence so far would indicate that his selection of Sarah Palin as his vice presidential running mate was a very good choice. And it has energized the religious right or religious conservatives that were somewhat ambivalent about McCain, because McCain has had somewhat of a strained relationship with them, particularly in the 2000 election when he was running in the Republican primaries, and suggested that some of their leaders, like Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson, were intolerant. And I don't think he's a person who is as religious as President Bush is, or at least is not as comfortable in publicly discussing his faith. So I think the choice of Palin has certainly energized the base of the Republican Party, and I think it's also energized some independent women voters. I'm not so sure if any of the Hillary Democratic voters will necessarily vote for McCain because of Palin, because she has many different opinions than traditionally Democratic women do. But picking a woman on the ticket has certainly energized Republican women and even independent women, or what you might call women who are leaners.
Barack Obama's campaign seems to have lost some of its luster, or some of the momentum it had a year ago, or even 6 months ago. How does he regain that?
Well, in my opinion, he's not sufficiently tried to reach out to Hillary Clinton and the voters that supported her. Now, he would probably say, I won the nomination, it's for them to reach out to me. But as the nominee, it's his responsibility, in my opinion, to unite the party, and I don't think he's done a very good job of that. I can perhaps understand maybe why there's still lingering bitterness. I personally think many of the attacks against him by Bill Clinton were unfair, if not actually racist, and I think there's a lot of lingering hostility and bitterness between the two camps, and I'm not so sure that they would deny that eventually if you prodded them enough about it.
44 years ago, another Arizonan ran for President of the United States. And that, of course, was Senator Barry Goldwater. Talk a little bit about how different the two candidates are, Barry Goldwater and John McCain, even though they're from the same state and represent the same party.
Well, some might say the answer to that is old McCain versus new McCain. In 2000, McCain did not embrace the religious right. He criticized them, as I mentioned earlier, and he did not make social issues or cultural issues, abortion, gay rights, the question evolution versus creationism, sex education. He did not address any of those issues in the primary, and he seemed very uncomfortable with, and still does, in my opinion, addressing those issues. So in 2000, you could argue he was much closer to Barry Goldwater, who you could argue was somewhat of a libertarian on many of those issues. But I think John McCain has realized that to win the nomination of the party, he had to win over those voters. And he did a fairly good job of doing that during the primaries. I mean, what partially helped him is there was really no other candidate that really appealed to the religious right. There was Mitt Romney, but he had flip-flopped on those issues. Plus, he was a Mormon, so there was some discrimination or bigotry against the fact that he was a Mormon. And then Rudy Giuliani, of course, whatever reservations the religious right may have had about John McCain. I mean, Giuliani, who is a candidate who supports abortion and gay rights and gun control, he's anathema to the religious right, being a liberal Republican, and Fred Thompson's basically just seemed to be asleep during the primaries. So McCain became the default candidate for the Republican Party, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but the religious right really had no other choice. But to be fair, McCain did try and reach out to them. He met with Pat Robertson and other leaders of the religious right, Jim Dobson of the Family Research Council, who, upon hearing that Palin was his pick, is very much enthused, and polls have showed that the religious right is much more enthused about McCain now than they were earlier. Indeed, she is more popular among the religious right than McCain is. That's not to say that McCain is unpopular, but she is much more popular than even he is.
Other than politics, what else do you follow, or what else keeps your time busy?
Well, I mean, I like philosophy, and I've been working on my dissertation, which has been accepted for publication as a book. It'll be coming out in December by University Press of America, and it's called The Webster-Hayne Debate, an inquiry into the nature of union. It analyzes the nature of the union that the Constitution created and the tensions inherent in that with the federal versus state rivalries and disputes.
Assistant Professor of Political Science Stefan Brooks, thank you for joining us at the inaugural Lindsey Wilson Conversations.
Thank you.